In this tutorial, I'm going to show you about using masking and something called a gradient in order to fade this guy into the water so it looks like he's actually in the water. And it's a really clever way of doing it, so it makes him look less kind of just superimposed onto it and more within the water itself. Okay, so this chappy here is standing here with his arms folded. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the magic wand tool and select around him, and I've chosen a deliberately good image for removing a white background because there's no white on his clothing. It's all kind of high contrast, and we just hit delete obviously, and we've got this Control D to deselect. We've got this blokey now standing about to go into the water. In fact, I'm going to just reselect around him again, and I'm going to do that select and modify and expand just by 1 pixel. Oh, hang on, do it again. Select, modify, select, modify, expand. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is just use the eraser tool just to go around him, get rid of any of the white sort of artifacts left over from when I cut him out, any of the pixels that are still on there that are white from the edging. Okay, and Control D. That's more realistic now. Okay, so this bloke is about to be submerged in some water. And what we could do is we could use the rectangle select just to chop his legs off. So rectangle select, we make a marquee there and chop his legs off. And then Control D, and then we're going to move him. Obviously, can make it look like he's in the water, but it doesn't really look like he's in the water at the moment. It just looks like he's a cutout man on the water. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add something called a mask. So a mask is a reversible edit to a layer. You can remove things in a mask, but then delete the mask and get everything back. So it's kind of like a temporary editing area, but you can do some really cool things with it as well. Like, for example, a gradient, which means to fade from one thing to another. So we can fade from solid color to nothingness. There's no kind of sharp line like you get with Chappie there, and like his midriff is just chopped. So we can have a gradient where it fades in and it looks more realistic then. So let's go about adding a mask. And what I do here is I just go to this little tool here. I'm sure you can probably get it on the layer menu as well. Yeah, raster mask. Raster in graphics editing, obviously you know it means a pixel image, not someone who worships the Rastafarian religion. So we always hear people saying some sort of joke every year about that, but it doesn't mean that. So I'm going to go for this there, and I'm going to add a raster mask. So far you don't see anything, but you can see this little white area. That tells you there's a mask. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find the bucket tool. Ah, I've got the gradient tool on already. Usually the bucket tool is the default in most photo editing programs. So I've got the gradient tool, and I'm going to go from neutral density. I'm going to go for neutral density. Okay. So play around, draw a little line there. Oh no, he's just disappeared. Ah! Come back. Right, so we go from that to that. Nope. Don't like that. Let's try something else. Black to white. That'll work actually better. No, the wrong way around. We'll get there. And depending on how long you draw the line, there you go. So he's sort of fading in now. Can you see that? Ah, he's floating around in the water. So it looks like the water's kind of coming over him a bit there. Can even just go for let's go for that a little bit further. There we go. It's floating in the water. So it just allows you to blend things in. So the thing there is called a mask, and the tool we've used is called the gradient. And just have a fiddle around with it. I would go for this black and white though, as I've just demonstrated to you there, fiddling around. And all of a sudden we can make things blend in to make this chappy seem like he's in the water. You could use this for sort of a mist effect. It's a really, really cool little tool to use. You could do the gradient from another direction as well. So part of him's faded, part of him's not. Don't know what you'd achieve with that. But obviously when you're making your own graphics later on, you might want to use masks and gradients.